Let's just do quick sort of squad bits and pieces. Any bumps and bruises picked up? Anybody back and available? I think Inaki, someone like that from Tuesday night.
To be fair, everyone came through Tuesday okay. Naki's a lot closer now, which is good news. So hopefully we'll see him very soon. But yeah, no, in terms of it, very similar to what we had Tuesday.
Okay, so hopefully this weekend, hopefully maybe Boxing Day.
Yeah, hopefully, a lot closer. Naki, hopefully we'll see him soon, really soon.
And that experience that he brings, whenever it is that useful in situations like this where, I guess the pressure's on some of the strikers a little bit and you're creating chances and probably not quite taking enough of them? He's somebody who's kind of been there and done it. Yeah,
exactly that. I think just one, having his character, his experience, obviously in the changing room, whether it be starting or on the bench, I think having someone with that experience, to support the others, to be a voice, I think, is really, really impactful. And then, of course, when he's on the pitch as well, his record speaks for itself. So obviously he'll be a terrific addition to have back.
Are moments like this important for the big voices in the dressing room? I was going to say senior, but it's not always the older ones. It can be the younger ones sometimes. That, making sure that people know that they're on the right lines and not to drop their heads.
Yeah, definitely that. I think we're all frustrated. We haven't potentially got the results either we feel we've deserved or that we obviously clearly want. But again, I think there's so much positive to come from it. And if you look at the games and how we've progressed, the opportunities we've created, the control we've had in games as well. Data's one thing. It doesn't give you points data. It doesn't, change league positions. But what it does tell you is the direction you're heading in. If you continually create the chances we have, and minimise the opposition chances. If you're able to sustain that, then you'll win games. If you obviously fine-tune bits in and around the box, if you add that ruthless edge, if you obviously have the competition to put pressure on people to deliver when they're in those moments. So they're the big bits. Again, I think like you say, I think we've sustained a level of performance for a period of games. I'm sure it will come.
And you've been sort of consistent in saying that before, even sort of starting in terms of matches. But does that become more difficult as it persists with the players who, you want to see results at the end of it? They want the goals or the clean sheets or whatever it is that they're focused on.
Yeah, of course you want validation, right? That's what you want. You want it rubber stamped that we are heading in the right direction. It's not just empty words. Again, I think that's the biggest bit. So of course, we're desperate to win, and I am every single game. Don't get me wrong, I think, although I see good bits in the performance, I go home frustrated, disappointed and hurt when we lose. But again, I think what I'm able to then do is, come in and go, right, what's next? How do we move forward? How do we get better? And again, I think that what that then allows you to do is once you do get the win, I think you're then able to sustain results and sustain performances rather than if everything's just about the Saturday, you're getting a bit of an emotional roller coaster, which is then hard to go back to back, which, has been an issue. So again, I think it's that case of, being able to understand how we play, why we do the things we do, able to control games in a manner that we want, and then ultimately, for me, like I said, then it's, and in this division, what's so important is about going on runs of results.
You've had limited opportunity in terms of this week because you've obviously had a couple of long away trips and the rest of it, but is there a particular area that you're focusing on in training? Are you trying to improve everything sort of equally across the board, or is it like, let's get this bit fixed or improved?
Yeah, it's difficult. I think obviously with the travel, the time we got back, just the intensity of the period we've had, but also what we've got coming up, we have to be mindful of that. So again, it's nothing major now. I think it's fine tuning. So we've obviously the few weeks we've had, it's about adding a little bit extras and making things become slightly more habit. Now it's about constantly progressing, learning and improving on little bits rather than addressing major things at the moment.
Okay. So Sunderland coming up this weekend. They're a team that are capable of fantastic football, and they've also had a couple of dips over the season. What have you made of them as a side?
Yeah, obviously gone through a change recently as well, which doesn't seem to have had a detrimental impact to performance or results. So again, I think you're quite clear, a good footballing side with some real threats in the team. So like most sides, they've had good periods, they've had challenging periods, like I just mentioned, in terms of what you look at in this division. But again, we've done our work, we're prepared, we've got a clear plan of what we need to do to get success, and it's now about that balance of working off the plan, but also feeling it in game, which I thought we did a terrific job second half the other night. Yeah,
and they seem, the bits that when I've seen them play, seem very energetic. They've got a lot of younger players, and they really do look to run at teams.
Yeah, good legs, good players that are strong in duels, good attacking threat. So yeah, they've got their threats, but I think we carry some as well. So I think it's a good matchup. It'll be a an interesting game to watch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With the plans, how much are they sort of unique within themselves, or how much are they influenced by, for example, what happened on Tuesday? Like, do you have to adapt it based on that performance, or do you kind of look at it each? I know you, some of the lads have said every game is different. It's kind of like a mantra, but do you have to adapt things depending on what's happened previously?
No, not so much. I think what we have is like core principles. So in terms of like top line stuff around, like out of possession, owning the middle of the pitch and controlling that, and then the stuff that we tweak game to game is then how do we go from that high block into a press, and that's where again I thought what the lads did a terrific job of second half is problem solving, which again I think we have the plan, but we don't have I can't tell you exactly what Sunderland are going to do tomorrow. So I think the big bit is we have the plan, but I constantly stress and emphasise to the players that they're the ones that have to make decisions on the pitch. We support them from the sides, but they have to, if it's what they can't do is go and play the plan as it looks on the screen or as it feels on the grass. So there's that balance of going in well prepared, having our real clear principles of how we want to play, and then obviously we make certain tweaks depending on how they build. For example, we might tweak a certain pass that we press on, for example. So yeah, I think it's that balance, doing the work, but also empowering the players to problem solve together on the pitch.
So that problem solving then, do you not think it was as apparent in the first half, amongst other things that perhaps didn't quite go right at you apart?
Yeah, I thought actually, even watching it back, the first 10-15 was okay, and even across the game, data is data, right? But if you actually look at the shots conceded, shots on target, their XG was 0.48 lower than what it normally is, which again, I know people are going to say, yeah, but you lost the game, you conceded two, but like I said, I think in terms of when you look at where we're at, I thought we actually restricted them to very few chances, but what we allowed was them to build up a bit of momentum by them having a large amount of the ball and in areas where they wanted it and not always where we did, so hence the goal coming through us. It was after a little period where they'd built momentum. So it was that moment which is again that, like I said, we're 6 games in where it's probably the first time in a game where you're going, right, we've been unable to shift the momentum back in our favour, which I thought, Norwich first half, similar, right? First 10-15, they got down the sides of us too easily. We then shifted the momentum back in our favour, which I didn't feel like we did too well first half. But then second half, obviously conceding the second goal, as frustrating as it was, once we then scored, I thought we then shifted the momentum back in our favour. So they're the little bits for me, it's that in-game stuff that, you have the plan, you have an idea of what we want it to look like. It's then we've got an opposition trying to stop that or trying to cause us problems. So it's how do we stay in control, but shift momentum so that we're on top.
Sorry to keep referring back to Tuesday, but one thing I did mean to ask you after the game. Max went long quite a lot. I just wondered, was that part of the plan, or was that because of the way they pressed?
Yeah, no, we spoke about it beforehand. So we knew they'd press, so we knew the whole game. If a team presses you, the space is behind them. What we'd spoken about beforehand was how we get it there, and going direct was one option, but we also gave 2, 3, 4 other options, which again that's part of the for me I think too often possession gets miscoached where people don't process or think in the right order. So for me, if you're going behind them, naturally they tend to drop, and then for me you then need to look to go through them, which that for me, then when we talk about being unpredictable and varying the game up, we probably didn't get it right. I thought at times the other night we were too long rather than actually working in and out, which there's one passage where we went into 90, he spun, played with Sykes, and we get in and end up 3v3 and half a pitch. So I thought there was the variation and the balance of it wasn't quite right.
Going back to the injuries, Cow was having a scan. Has that kind of revealed anything more that you didn't know?
No, he's progressing well, Cal. So he's on track in terms of heading in the right direction. So I think he's recently started running the treadmill in the gym. So okay. he's moving forward, which is positive.
One player I haven't really asked much about is Hayden Roberts, who is it an ankle injury?
Ankle, yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of wondered where he's at in terms of...
Still a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously one that you haven't had a chance to work with.
Yeah, not had the opportunity.
And I imagine he's the sort of player that you would very much relish the opportunity.
Yeah, no, obviously I've watched video and I remember him from obviously his time at Brighton as well. So he's one that I look forward to working with when he does get back. And he's very much part of it. He's still in all the meetings. I've had a couple of chats with him in the office. So again, I think it's important players that are injured feel like they're footballers and not gym specialists. Yeah. So he's still a little while off though.
If we can sort of look ahead a little bit to January, have these these 2 weeks, has it shaped your thinking at all? Has it confirmed anything? Has it changed anything? Where are you at in terms of January? given it's not far away?
Yeah, no, I think it's been a really good period to assess where we're at. I think in terms of that, yeah, and it doesn't mean that things aren't going to change. You know what I mean? I think we're still early on in terms of seeing which players can learn, which players can. You know, we've obviously, like I said, we've got into some really dangerous areas, but at times the final bit's not come. But part of that's on us coaching the players to get better. Part of it's on the players to learn it and practice it, which takes time. So again, I think we're still in a bit of a phase where we're seeing who can step up and improve. Which hopefully, and I'm sure the lads seeing how they are, they're all desperate too. So we'll see that as well. But at the same point, again, I think in terms of depth and quality, we need to add a little bit of that as well.
Is it the attacking areas? Is that more than likely going to be the focus?
Probably the main bit at the minute, I'd say. Yeah. Probably the main area.
Is that midfield and forward line, or just forward line? Or?
Yeah, a combination of two. I think it's adding. We've got, again, what I don't want to do is, we've got some terrific talent here. We've got some strong quality here, which we've seen in the game so far. I think it's complementing that. I think competition in house is really good. I think if people are to perform at their optimal level, they need to know that someone's desperate to take their spot, which has been a challenge at times with the injuries perspective, but. Again, so I think adding quality, adding depth, getting the right ones in, central areas and high up.
I know I said sorry to keep referring back to Blackburn, but last one I will do again, just because you'll get where I'm getting with it. The substitution that was made, Knight and Sykes, which I asked you about at the time, I just wondered, with those sort of decisions that from other perspectives people might be thinking, why has that happened? You said about legs. How much of that is you visually seeing it, or are you informed by other things?
Always me.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, sorry. I know it's your decision, but I meant, are you tracking them in any way, data-wise?
No, I got a feeling in game. I'll always chat with Hoggy in game, so me and Hoggy will always have a chat. I'll always bounce things off him, which he's terrific because I'm fully immersed in the game. He's sometimes sitting back there, has a slightly different perspective. So we'll always discuss changes. We'll plan them at times. Just scenarios, but the big thing for me is feeling and what the game looks like and feels like, and knowing what qualities people are going to bring. So again, I thought that when you looked at it, I thought 90's output is phenomenal. What he brings, bits to work on, of course, as everybody has. But again, I think in terms of when you looked at his programme, what he's done, obviously he doesn't get the international breaks either. It's such a full-on programme as well, and I just thought he started to tire a little bit, hence the fresh legs.
Sykes, he hasn't completed 90 minutes. For the last couple, do you think he can complete 90 minutes in that position? Yeah,
I've got no issues with that. I think obviously Southampton one jumps to mind, second half of. But it was also, I think, in terms of the game's changed so much, it didn't really get spoken about. But the potential to make 5 substitutions, and hence the number of injuries players are getting, not just here but across all clubs. Every club's picking up so many injuries. I do think when you look at the physical demands of the game, whether it be the programme or the 95 minutes, I think there's that element where I'd much prefer somebody to max out and hit the highest numbers they can for 65, 70, knowing that we've got 5 changes to make rather than hold a bit back and get through 90. So for me, it's really important when the lads are on the pitch, whether it be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 90 minutes, that they go full tilt.
Thanks, Liam.
Cheers. Hi, Liam. We spoke about the control and the chances created in recent games has been really good. But another thing is kind of the way you're finishing games in terms of fitness. I just wondered, that must be a big positive for you. You think about the last couple of games, it's really almost one-sided towards the end of the games. Yeah,
we've looked strong. We've got a fit group that are willing to work hard. And I think that the big part when we came in was about we tried to work off a structure where it was about being efficient when you're running. So rather than just running all the time for the sake of it, it's running at the right time so that actually you're able to sustain it for longer periods, but you're effective with it. And I think that's the biggest bit that we've tried to add, just be effective when you're running. Which again, structure, organisation, having a clear idea of when you press, for example, I think allows everybody to move at the same time, so you're quite aligned and quite clear, rather than it become games of basketball, which is what we don't want. So again, I think I've been pleased with that aspect, and of course I'm fortunate not to get something from the game the other night, but again I think there's positives to take from that, whether it be the spirit to fight to the end, which I think is really important, and then obviously the physical fitness to go with that.
And obviously you mentioned the substitutions. All substitutes have had really positive impacts really in the last few weeks. Particularly Anis and Harry have always kind of come in and had a really positive contribution. They must be really pushing for a place in the starting lineup in the next few weeks.
Yeah, very close. I think that it's important. I have to say we did a session today with the starting lineup versus the the lads that aren't in the lineup, and everybody, the attitude was terrific from everybody, which again I think is really important. We all have to put the team first, so that when you step on the pitch, but like I said, whether it's 30 minutes or 90 minutes, you're ready to give everything for the team and the club. Which I think culturally, I think the lads have been incredible. I think you look at Harry, perfect example of that. I think he's had a real positive impact. I thought it was the best Anis has been, to be fair, since I've been at the club. I was really pleased with how Anis impacted the game, and as for all of them, it's about being ready. It's about when you get the opportunity, make sure that the work you do day to day here, how you conduct yourself, your attitude, puts you in a spot that so you can grab that opportunity, whether it be 15 minutes, whether it be 90 minutes.
Yeah, and one player who's really seemed to quite seamlessly transition into your tweaks and style of play is Rob Dickie. Kind of just looks so composed in the air when he's got the ball at his feet. Just always seems to make the right decision. Have you been really impressed with kind of how he's naturally adapted to the way you want to play?
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding the other night, to be totally honest. I thought he was... and I've spoken with Big Rob about it. It's not about always getting it right, but I think the biggest thing for me was that he took responsibility. So again, I thought at times we were a little too quick to go back, but when you look at him stepping in, breaking lines, his pass for the goal away at Huddersfield, he played a similar one first half. The way the other night he broke lines with the ball, I thought it was terrific. The way he defends and attacks both boxes, he carries the threat, obviously attacking set pieces, and puts his head on a lot in terms of defensively. So the exciting bit for me, I think we can make him better. I think he can still improve, but the level he's hit recently has been exceptionally high.
Yeah, and we spoke about Ephraim for a bit last week. Another youngster who's been involved in a couple of the squads recently is Jed Meerholtz. I just wondered if you could tell us a bit about him, just kind of how he's on and off the pitch, just maybe a few of his traits and stuff.
Yeah, good personality. I watched terrific work from the academy last night to get through in the Youth Cup. I stayed and watched it with the staff and thought they performed really well. Jed did well in terms of, I think he's someone that has good physical capacity, covers ground well. Technically good, I think as well. You look at him, I think he's able to have impact in and out of possession. I wouldn't say he's a specialist either. I think he can do the both, and he's got like I said, the legs to almost be a bit of an old school box to box midfielder. So he's settled in well. I think it's now about understanding that no doors are, the second you go academy, the first team, doors don't get opened. You have to smash them down, and the way you do that is by how you train, how you play. The impact you have when whether it be 18s, 21s, whatever games you're playing in, everything's about impressing and performing.